detective. Thrill me.
Thanks for joining us again for another episode. Gents, good to have you back again. Tonight's episode is Split from 2016, the Unbreakable sort of sequel, I guess. Before we get to that, let's do a quick round the table. I will go first because I have pretty much nothing. Oof. I watched Cam, the Blumhouse movie on Netflix. Nah.
Nothing.
Good idea.
Nah.
Good idea. Has some moments that are alright, but overall it was kind of a little bit boring. And the ending kind of left me a little bit sort of cold. Didn't really work. So, and I hit the trail on Amazon Prime.
Oh no!
I deep dove,
God.
and after I passed a dating show in bed with Ray J, and another one that called with the rapper The Game, entertainingly called She's Got Game. Yes, I came across a little 90s, I think it was a 90s martial arts film called Martial Law.
Oh yes,
starring Steve McQueen's son, less talented actor, average martial artist. It was horrendous, but it had the guy out of Jared. The guy who gets his head punched out in Friday the 13th Part 8.
Julius.
He's
Good to see you again, Julius.
He's one of the sort of slimy thugs. He gets around in some cornrows, early cornrows, because it was the late 80s.
Oh, wow.
Our main guy wears a kind of yak style jacket similar to Vin Diesel, and I think one of the extras is Robert Di Domenico. He looks just like him.
Wow.
He'd obviously been on end of season trip into the US, so they'd accidentally seen
trip to Vegas.
and the different decided, absolute shit of a film. But there's a sequel on there, so that'll be next week.
How much did you pay Lou Diamond Phillips for that movie, mate?
I noticed they're dropping a bit of Cynthia Rothrock on there lately.
Well, I'll tell you what, mate. Rothrock would kick your ass. She would really kick some ass.
She would. But yeah,
she certainly can whip some rings, and she's a better actor than the other mate. I can guarantee it. He's fucking
a better actor than Julius.
Yeah, Julius is real bad too. Yeah, so
would have been good if he got his head punched off again.
yeah, like I've got some experience in this. I
just love that as he throws out a deep cut, and you're like, Julius.
There is a sequel on there, so I will be getting on it. After I go through, obviously, She's Got Game.
Wow.
That's it for me.
Have you got Stan yet? Or
no, I haven't got Stan.
Wow.
I don't want Amazon Prime. I don't want
Stan
it.
actually has some good
No, it hasn't got it. I just want one. Netflix will do, but I've got Amazon Prime because we've got it there. And unfortunately, a couple.
Stan, you get
I should have
my
have my hands cut off.
There's not enough hours.
So I can't go near the bloody.
You gotta be doing better than that, mate.
You need to get onto the PlayStation with a fucking.
I was gonna say,
so you can't watch Amazon.
Just go to PS Network and hire something good.
I was going to hire Exit Wounds today.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's it. I mean, fucking Amazon. You just their
I can't believe you've got
their
that
recommended list.
It's bullshit.
You just sit there going, oh my god. But then you go, Samurai Cop. And look.
Are you just thinking Amazon doesn't have enough money, Adam? Like, they need some of your funds?
No, I think what Amazon...
Oh, look, Rotor's on there.
I think what Amazon's got is a bad case of we're not Netflix. Like, we can't afford to pick everything up. Everything's already taken. Basically what they've got... They should be putting out more original product.
That's what Netflix is starting to do now.
Some of the original product, but fucking commit. If you're going to pick up martial law,
get them all.
Log and get all that shit.
You'll have me for hours.
I'll re-up next year.
That's probably an extra $1,000 out of your budget to get alone.
$60 a year for 12 months, I can live with.
Well, mine's
$3 a month.
Because I signed up just to the Amazon Prime package just for 1 year because I knew I was gonna get some stuff delivered from Amazon. So you sign up for the package and then they go, look, here's Amazon Prime for 12 months as well. Fuck right,
but
I've essentially paid my $60 membership with the postage fees from the products I've got from Amazon.
Yeah.
but you give me Samurai Cop as well for nothing.
The thing for me, the luxury for me is Caitlin paid it. She paid the $60, so I paid zero. I'm watching martial law for free.
You'd have to pay me to watch the shit you watch it. They'd have to pay me for it.
Yeah, well, look, I must.
I've got Stan and Netflix, so I've actually got volume of quality.
I barely go to Prime anymore. Occasionally I go to Samurai Cop, and that's about it.
Stumble across it and see if they've picked up another Terence Hill Bud Spencer.
If you're in a self-loathing mode.
If I was pissed, like if I was an alcoholic, I'd be on Amazon Prime all the time. Because hangover films, mate. Hangover films.
Jesus.
Matty, go. What do you got?
I got a small list. I watched all of Big Mouth, so first 2 seasons of that. I started watching it ages ago and just went, I can't cop this, and then just decided I'm going to get back onto it. And just loved it. NBA references in there. There's Frank Stallone reference in there. It's if you can get past it being basically about teenagers wanking, then you can sort of enjoy it.
That's the best part.
Good fun.
No, they actually reference that. Was it at the end of the first season or the second season where he's like, "This is like it's like cartoon like kids genitalia," and they're like, it's fine. It's Netflix.
Yeah, you definitely have to.
They know what they're doing, but it's so funny and well done. Like the writing's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. The characters just have like the obsession with Nathan Fillion or
with the dog.
Just got some weird
Nathan Fillion. Yeah,
Fillion. That's on. Yeah, just
the dog that looks like Fillion.
Some good bits in it. I watched another doco.
No man, if you watch something about
this is like in the background. Man, I didn't put this on. It was English one on hot mums going out with their daughters and all that sort of stuff. This is like in the background, but
what's wrong with you?
I wasn't. I didn't turn this on.
Yeah, I've not seen Die Hard, but you can watch some.
This is pretty fun. So this kid's going to a modelling gig with his dad, and his dad gets his kid off to show how ripped he is. It's pretty funny. But,
Jesus Christ!
Yeah,
and then I went to basketball. But I started Waco off. Is it off SBS? So which first season of that? The first episode of that. Actually.
Was that good?
Yeah, good, really good. But obviously I haven't gone back to it, so maybe
Must
not
be
good enough.
Really dragged me in.
But I'll get back into it.
I didn't have a guy's father coming down.
Waco episode 2 or Hot Mums Daughters.
It's got old mate from what's his name?
Taylor Kitsch.
John Carter. Yeah, Taylor Kitsch.
Yeah.
And he's sensational.
He's actually a good actor.
Really,
I bet you just love that you go the guy from John Carter. That's what he's known for.
Yeah,
he's there going, yes!
The one that got paid.
Somebody remember
that. The guy from Battleship.
The bloke's a legend. Friday Night Lights, Tim Riggins.
Dude, Taylor Kitsch is good, but he's made some dog
We
shit
were talking
movies.
strictly about John Carter. Being remembered as the bloke from John Carter. I don't think that would happen a lot.
No.
Well, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know his discography very well.
Yeah.
Discography.
What do you got? Well, anything else, Pat? If you say something about hot mubs or fucking old people or bloody polygamists or something, is that next?
There's bits of NBA watching, and that's sort of ended my list that I can think of at the moment. But
It's for the best. Just watch Die Hard.
Okay. Jared.
So I got onto a couple of other ones that I'd been watching previously. Confession tapes, finished up.
Yep.
Right off again. Jesus, I hope I never get pinned as the man in a crime that I did commit.
Oh God.
Jeez, you're up against it. A little bit more of the Batman animated stuff on Blu-ray. Just love it. I watched Haunted, or started to watch Haunted, which is that one on Netflix.
People telling their stories?
People telling their real life ghost stories, and then they dramatise them kind of like Conjuring style.
Yeah.
And how is it? You pooped yourself a couple of times?
There was a couple of moments where the dramatisations were pretty creepy and the stories were pretty creepy, but it's fucking bullshit.
I was going to say, do you buy any of it?
Yeah.
Like there was one where the kid was telling sort of, I mean, it just comes down to whether you believe in ghosts or not. I'm just kind of like this, no. Like episode two,
Excuse me.
they essentially have like a family telling how their fucking granddad was just like Texas Chainsaw, basically. Just
was it the Lutz
used to
family?
bring-
Because it was the Lutz family.
That was the house's fault. The house was doing all that. The house was pinching money and doing all that.
At George, what a guy.
Yeah.
You know, finally
straight as an arrow, mate.
Yeah, finally someone's actually made a movie about the real murders that happened in there.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, so episode 2 generated a whole bunch of controversy because people were like, well, clearly this is bullshit because if this happened, what you're saying, we'd know about it.
Yeah.
There'd be missing people, or because essentially what they were saying was like Texas Chainsaw shit. People they bring people home from a bar and just kill them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And their kids all knew about it. It's like, this is crap. And
Yeah.
I think someone's done a bit of research and connected a lot of the people that were telling the stories in the episodes to creative people in the horror industry.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, there's some stories in there that got some legs. Like, there's a couple of chills. There's one episode where the family finds a well in the house, like an old well in the house that they're living in, and the kids go and look down the well and see another 3 kids who start imploring them to come down and play with us and things like that. So there's episodes that you get a few little chills out of. Yeah, and the dramatisations really add to it. But you're just watching the whole thing going, this is just...
It's not plausible.
That's a full-on... Look, no thanks, I've got things on. I cannot come down there with you. I'm not going to...
It looks like a nice well. We'll leave you guys to it.
Martial Law.
Yeah, Martial Law 2 is just queuing up on Amazon Prime.
I watched Upgrade, finally.
Oh, yeah, nice.
I really liked it. Yeah, it's cool. Like, I think Maddie and Gibbo both said it. Some of the commentary on like AI taking over the world is a bit surface level, but it's entertaining as hell. And the direction I really liked, like when he starts getting taken over by the computer, sort of the chips, the direction adjusts, and it's kind of like, they do some of that stuff where the lens is attached to his body, so when he's moving, he's static in the shot, but the background's moving, and some of it looks like first-person shooterish from behind him. Some really cool stuff, but I had the creepiest fucking thing happen while I was watching it.
Ooh.
You're watching a movie about AI taking over the world, and on screen, one of the characters says, "Do you have to talk?"
Oh, you told me about this.
Can you talk? The character says,
heard it or something?
"Can you talk?" And my Google, who needs to say, "Hey Google" or something to set it off, my Google starts going, I can sing," and starts fucking singing at me, and I'm just like, I can't handle this. I'm watching a movie about AI taking over the world. I didn't fucking talk to you. And nobody on the screen said, "Hey, Google." But it responded and started, because it sang as well. It was really eerie, this robot voice fucking singing at me. But yeah, the movie was good.
I don't want one of those things.
No. I watched the doco called Batman and Bill, which was bloody good. I knew the story. It was about a guy who basically... so essentially, if you don't know the story, the bloke that supposedly created Batman, fucking Bob Kane, was a fucking con artist. Basically, he didn't created very limited stuff himself, and this bloke called Bill Finger essentially redesigned Batman for him. Like, if Batman was Bob Kane's idea, it would have been a blonde guy in like a red suit with a big wing, kind of like Leonardo da Vinci kind of wing thing on. And Bill Finger essentially redesigned it and made it what Batman is, and then Bill Finger ghost wrote Bob Kane's stuff about he essentially created the Joker, created Commissioner Gordon, created Robin, created Gotham City.
So created Batman.
Basically created Batman. And Bob Kane is he was a fucking prick of a bloke. He's just, he would hold art shows about, I'm going into doing like Batman lithographs now and all this sort of shit. It'd just be other people painting him and him signing him. And so the doco was about one guy kind of discovering all this and going back and really unearthing the history, and then trying to track down family, because it would have to be family to challenge creators' rights and stuff. So it's essentially this guy campaigning to get it changed to
Bill Finger.
Created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger, which was difficult. But yeah, bloody good doco. It was on SBS, so I jumped on it. Home Alone, getting in the Christmas spirit.
Yes.
The first one?
Yeah, the first one. I kept telling my son about it for some reason. I don't know where we saw it, but I think we saw like a homage to it on something.
Donald
I said,
Trump
that's
in the
Home
second
Alone. I said, that's Home Alone. And he's like, what's Home Alone? So we kind of watched it. And
I had the exact same thing happen with me.
Yeah. Just quietly, the 20 minutes where they try to bust into the house still gets me every time. Joe Pesci getting his hair fucking torched on fire. It just cracks me up.
I actually suggested that because Dylan saw the trailer for Dennis the Menace.
Yeah.
And I said, can we not do that? We'll do something else. And I watched Home Alone with him instead.
The John Candy bit in the van is still hilarious.
Yeah, it was really good. I'd forgotten about it.
Poker?
I'd almost forgotten about him, but he's got some cracking lines in there.
He's so good.
Speaking of the Christmas season, I watched Jingle All the Way.
Oh.
What the fuck's going on in that movie?
So
he's punching bloody reindeer and decking people. It's basically just a Arnold Schwarzenegger violent film without any blood. That's it.
Yeah, it's funny. It's pretty funny. Doesn't he get in the blue with the dwarves too?
Yeah, he throws a dwarf. It's ridiculous.
Oh dear. Yeah. So I got through most of season 3 of Daredevil. I think I've got 2 episodes to go. Fuck, mate. How they cancelled that, I'll never know.
Did it get? I didn't even know.
No,
that.
Daredevil's been
this has got
basically. I believe Marvel did it, so it's Disney trying to take all their shit back for their streaming service.
Wow, that's a bummer.
But they'll have to start again, won't they?
Well, they basically said there will be no continuation of Daredevil as we know it, and they won't make it R-rated if it's Disney.
How's your son Charlie Cox feel about this?
Charlie Cox is not happy, and Charlie Cox is also not happy.
Yeah,
I'm pissed off because it was so good.
Yeah,
the season was so good.
Just leave it there.
Yeah.
These guys are doing good work with the stuff that you own, the properties. Just let them use it.
If you want to can the others, trim the fat and just let Daredevil and Jessica Jones keep going.
Yeah, I could see getting rid of bloody
Luke Cage,
Iron Fist and Luke Cage because they neither of them really sort of found their groove.
So, I mean, basically we know now that Jessica Jones and Punisher will screen the seasons that are filmed and they'll be gone too.
Yeah, that's
it's fucking bullshit because this season was so good and Charlie Cox was just awesome as Daredevil. Vincent D'Onofrio, I don't see how anyone can do another Kingpin like that while he's still alive.
Yeah.
Like he was just awesome.
I just think that
even Bullseye, like there's some stuff about his backstory that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the way they present it in the show works. Like, yeah, I don't know.
It's just Disney doing
really
it.
disappointed with that
It's
one.
just bullshit.
I saw the new Grinch. Kids wanted to see that.
I heard that was really bad.
It's not terrible. It's probably a little bit above the Jim Carrey one. But the problem is you got a book that sustains about 20 minutes of a movie.
Yeah.
And you make it a 90-minute movie. So what the fuck do you do? And it's just, it's a bit, the stuff that they do is a bit blah, like just there. And the last one was Creed 2.
Creed 2. Yeah.
Creed 2. Yeah, I was a big fan.
Yeah.
It's not as good as the last one. Went to more formulaic.
It's been slightly Stallone-ified.
Yeah, it's been a little bit Stallone-ified, but look, Stallone can play Rocky in his sleep now.
Yeah.
And he has.
Some of the fighting stuff is doesn't quite hit the beats of some of the previous ones.
It was missing Kugler.
Yeah, but they know how to pull the emotional strings. And to me, Drago was as good a villain as has been in as good as the opposition has been in the Rocky series. Like seeing Ivan Drago as a bit of a broken man and his son barely speak but have all this shit put around him that makes him gives him depth.
Because he didn't have many lines, as you said, but he actually the facial acting and the
facial expressions,
he was decent.
The reactions to
good.
The people around him and the situations that arise. I was really happy with it.
I don't know how to say it. Florian Montiano or something like that.
Lundgren
was good.
Yeah.
Lundgren gets to run in the end too, and fuck, he's still struggling. Does a bit of road work. And I was like, oh god.
But the scene when he's in waiting in the restaurant and Sly comes in and they're sort of playing off it, that was just, I was loving that bit.
Yeah,
that's like going back 30 years.
Yep.
Like all this angst and stuff that they're both carrying around and it came across.
If only they had done a workout in the snow together.
Yeah.
That would have really taken me right back.
But no,
it wasn't as good as the first one.
It wasn't as good, but it hits the emotional beats. You've got some really good actors like Tessa Thompson and Michael B. Jordan are both excellent.
Well, according to Stallone, he's finished as Rocky.
I'd be happy to see him carry it on from here.
There's a scene at the end where it suggests that this is him saying, "Yeah, I'm done now."
Yeah,
but he's done that before with other things. So
Rambo.
Last one. Keep filming, fellas. Keep filming.
Once Rambo bombs, someone will say Creed 3. Yeah, all right. Let's do it.
I don't think Rambo's going to bomb.
Oh yeah,
no, it's gonna be the best Rambo.
No. No, it's
but I'd be happy. I would be happy now with what they've put in place. Having Duke's son there. We've made those attachments to Adonis. Now you've got Drago on the fringes. If you wanted to reuse him somehow, I'm happy enough for them to keep going without Rocky now if they want to.
It really just felt like Rocky 2, 3, and 4 merged together though as well, like the story beats. But
yeah.
And obviously just a bit
well,
better
I could see it.
dramatically.
I actually think it would be nice. It might be worth cutting Rocky loose now, and because you've established Adonis
Yep.
and his girlfriend and children and everything coming through. Let's move that forward.
It'd be harder without Rocky, but
a lot of the emotional stuff relies on him still. That's the only problem.
Yeah, I could see them going for another one without him.
Oh, dude, it's made too much money. They're going to do another one. For sure. So is that it for you?
That's me.
All right.
Now, obviously, you saw Creed 2 as well?
Yes. So that was one of the last things I had on there. But I was with Jared. I liked it. It's probably like a half or half star below the first one. It just didn't quite have I think the guy that directed it was at school with Coogler, and Coogler actually put him forward because Sly was going to direct it.
Shit.
And then he,
he's got genes to squeeze into Rocky.
It didn't quite have the same flair that Coogler put in the first one.
He's got moleskins to get in. Jesus Christ!
But I liked it fine. I watched Shameless season 8 on Netflix. They tried to finally go somewhere a little bit different with the story, and it still gets you some laughs and stuff, but it's just. They're sort of running out of ideas. I don't know. It's just you can only do so many really shocking things before it just starts getting silly. Yeah. I watched Outlaw King, the Chris Pine one on Netflix.
Oh yeah, any good?
They're trying to say it's got Oscar legs and stuff like that. I don't fucking see it. It's not bad. It's fine, but it's a totally generic period piece movie. It's sort of in the same sort of vein.
Kingdom of Heaven?
Probably better than Kingdom of Heaven. Probably a bit above the Robin Hood and stuff like that. Yeah.
Just quietly, did anyone see the trailer for that?
Oh, the new one. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the...
Shit.
Yeah, no, it's been getting absolutely panned,
that looks
the new one.
Absolutely terrible.
That might finally finish Taron Egerton.
It looks like it's been directed by Guy Ritchie.
Don't worry about Taron Egerton. Fucking, when's Jamie Foxx going to be finished off? He's delivering...
It's rough, man. It's been getting very bad buzz.
Stinky performances.
So that wasn't a bad... I watched a documentary about Ronnie Coleman.
Oh, yeah, Big Ron.
Mate, take a hint. Stop doing weights.
Oh, is he still doing them? How old is he?
This is him. It's basically going through and it's doing a bunch of periods up to where he has back surgery again.
So he can't walk now, right?
He's on crutches and his legs are just atrophied to shit. And he's all these doctors and everything saying you need to stop this. And next scene, it's him lifting this massive weight bench press. And he's still in he's a big guy still, and obviously not when he was.
How old is he?
56 or something.
Couldn't you just say, I was king shit once. I'm not anymore.
Mate, he just clearly just can't let it go. And he's obviously doing really well for himself. He's got all of his he endorses a bunch of stuff and things like that.
That's good when you can't walk.
But he's got these little kids. He's got a wife and little kids, and he's just dead set destroyed it. And he's in constant pain and just goes to the gym every day and just jacks it.
So what? So is it basically the lifting? It's not the roids.
No, it was just the sheer weight because
Ronnie, get a tongue, mate.
Because the thing that set him apart, a lot of the bodybuilders built up big muscle, but he was actually a world-class power lifter with the weights that he was doing. He was doing 900-pound squats and stuff.
He always yells out shit in the gym too.
Yeah,
lightweight and all this.
Yeah, lightweight, buddy, and all this sort of stuff. He's got all these. But I mean, he's so respected and everything. And all these other guys that he used to compete against, they're all perfect. They're still big guys and stuff, but they've gone on to live relatively normal lives.
They've tapered off. Let it go. So you say 50 years old, ripping Nick, but you can still walk. That's good.
I don't know how the surgery actually ended up going because it kind of cuts off and says Ronnie's continuing to do his therapy and stuff like that, but it's also saying he continues to lift weights against his doctor's wishes. And it's what are you doing, mate? The guy is set for life.
Quite honestly, for a second there, I was a little bit confused because you started talking about powerlifting, and I was thinking, hang on a minute, are you talking about Ronnie Corbett? Oh yeah, sorry.
It's good night for me. It's good night for him.
You're talking about the third Ronnie.
He would be here, but he can't walk into the studio.
It was actually a decent doco. That's worth a look.
Oh look, I love Big Ron. I love Big Ron, but
he seems like an amazing guy too. Really good dude.
Yeah,
it's just sad to see.
Look at someone like Arnie.
Yeah,
he moved on. He was always in Ripping Nick.
Not always.
But Arnie obviously gave the game away.
Yeah.
And he was still considered a legend. Surely Ronnie would still be considered a legend.
Ronnie's legacy is cemented. You talk to all these guys and they're like, he's the greatest that there will ever be and there's no one will get near him. They just won't.
Yeah.
And then he just keeps going. Anyway, so then...
How's his heart still going? I just don't understand.
I mean,
he's got three.
He's got three. It's the size of
the Time Lord.
I watched Jack Reacher Never Look Back. It's not very
The
good.
first one wasn't great.
I don't know how it got a sequel,
The
really.
first one was okay.
It kind of came and went, but it's just a generic, I don't know. Anyway,
Once again, Cruise, mate.
the last scene,
Paycheck.
the
Someone
last
said
scene
20
in
million?
Never Look Back
Yeah,
is
right.
one of the most annoying things of it. It's the one where these guys are so badly injured that they can barely stand and they're sort of staggering around, and then they'll get this big burst of energy and punch the other guy, and then they'll be both on the ground, and anyway, it's shit. I watched The Ballad of Buster Scruggs on Netflix.
Yeah,
I heard that was okay.
Super cool.
Yeah.
I really liked it, yeah. If you like those guys as directors, it's definitely worth a look. Very different. Like, I think it's either 6 or 7 different little stories in there.
Right.
And they're all totally different. Like, they don't link together at all, other than they're all sort of Wild West sort of stories. But it's very cool, very worth a look. Watched all of F is for Family Season 3. Best season so far, I think. I love that stuff. The lowest I went this week. I watched The Great War with Matt Damon.
I heard that was bad.
It is dog shit. Like, really bad. Just nonsense.
The professional term for a dog shit.
Mate, and some of the CGI in it, like one of the first intro scenes, it's doing like this sort of pan over the Great War. It looks like a bad video game.
Because that was made... It's a Chinese film, isn't that? It's
that's the only way you can explain it. Like,
and he was just brought in as a name?
it's got the guy from Narcos in it as well, that plays Javier Pena. I can never remember his name. But it's a horrendous movie. And then I watched the new Iverson doco on Netflix too.
I love the Iverson doco. They love
There's
it.
so many Alan Iverson documentaries, and they all go through the same beats. This one's actually one of the better ones. It's pretty good.
Do they talk to him? Because he's become a rampant dickhead, hasn't he?
A little bit.
Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say become.
He's had his moments, that's for sure.
Yeah.
They do talk to him though. But it's actually worth a look. It's got some other stuff behind the scenes things, and yeah, it was decent anyway. But yeah, that's what I mean. It had some highs and lows. I would definitely recommend Ballad of Buster Scruggs though. You should have to check that out. Something different. And that was it.
All right. Let's take a break. Here's the trailer for 2016's Split.
23 identities live in Kevin's body.
I have red fog.
He's not well.
I'm too impulsive.
Pardon me, sir. I think you have the wrong car.
Someone's coming for you. You're not gonna like it.
You will be in the presence of something greater. Split, rated PG-13.
All right, Split from 2016. Written, produced and directed by M.Night Shyamalan. It's also produced by Mark Beanstalk, who gave us Wild Things 4. Foursome.
I didn't even know there was a 3.
I know, but you will be finding them soon enough. Check Amazon
I was
Prime.
just going to borrow your Amazon Prime login.
Naming that film was like a 2-minute process, clearly.
What was it? Wild Things 4? What?
Wild Things 4. Foursome.
Oh, wow.
And Jason Blum, he gave us Get Out and Halloween.
What's Blum doing? Teaming up with that bloke.
I don't know. I mean, I of course, he's probably got a really awesome resume, but I of course found his most embarrassing movie. Okay, it stars James McAvoy as Kevin Wendell Crumb / Dennis / Patricia / Hedwig / The Beast.
Hedwig.
Anna Taylor-Joy as Casey Cook and Betty Buckley as Dr. Karen Fletcher. This has a minuscule budget of $9 million and made $278 worldwide.
Not a bad percentage.
Yes.
Blumhouse for you.
And supposedly Joaquin Phoenix was in talks to play McAvoy's role, but they couldn't reach an agreement, so McAvoy took the part.
I'm not saying they both would have done a good job though.
Yeah, I think he would have done a good job as well. But yeah. Thoughts, Matty?
I really like this one. I don't know. It kept me entertained the whole way. I ended up watching it twice because I was watching bits and pieces of it.
Oh, so
and
you-
then
Oh,
OC on the way.
kept getting cut off, and then
Hot mums.
and then went back and watched it. Don't knock a hot mums. But it ended up second time around watched it without, I guess, all the trying to predict what's going to happen next, and I went into it not really knowing what it was about at all as well. So really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I was happy with 4 stars on that one.
4 stars.
Yeah.
All right. Gibbo?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, obviously McAvoy's performances are amazing. Like, he does a really good job with it. I've got a few little quibbles with it. I don't think it's up to the standard of its predecessor. Obviously, a big gap in there, but I don't think it's as good as Unbreakable. But I'm also a really big fan of Anya Taylor-Joy. I really liked her work that she did in The Witch as well. I thought she was pretty good in this. And the lady that, I can't remember her name, that plays the psychiatrist, I thought she was pretty strong. But there's just a couple of bits where things just get a little bit too slow. And it feels like it's always going to get to a certain point, and they're just sort of filling time until that happens. But I'd go with a 3.
Jared?
Yeah, I was probably closer to where Gibbo was at. I was, again, sort of hovering 3.5, 3. I'll probably settle on a 3. McAvoy is excellent, and I'm a big fan of the chick who played Casey as well. Like, she's definitely got a big career ahead of her.
I'm surprised she hasn't done more, really. Yeah.
No, she's excellent. Well, she's in one of the Marvel ones, not the movie, the TV. Is she Runaways or something like that?
Yeah, I read something like that.
Was, but yeah, she's outstanding. I just felt like there's parts of it that are just a bit too slow. It's like you said, you kind of see that they're going to get to a point, and then there's things where it's just like things are happening that are not really progressing to that point.
Yeah.
And it's just, you're kind of just waiting for McAvoy to come back on screen for a while.
Yeah.
Down the stretch, things happen a little bit that speed things up and make it more interesting and keep you kind of gripped a little bit more. Had some issues with where it went. The sting at the end probably put it in context for me and kept my impressions of it a little bit higher coming out of the cinema. So then watching it back with that knowledge, it was still pretty good, but it wasn't quite as good. Certain things made more sense, but yeah, it wasn't quite as gripping the whole way through, so I reckon a 3.
Yeah, I'd go with a 3. It has interesting ideas. McAvoy's performance is fantastic, but the mid portion is very slow. Every time they go away from the kidnapped girls and McAvoy's involvement with them, it gets very boring. And like you guys, I mean, Jared, you summed it up. If the kicker wasn't that it was part of the Unbreakable universe, it'd be kind of like,
what was all the point?
About?
Yeah,
especially because it's not really a resolution at the end. Like,
yeah,
kind of just
kind
leaves.
of.
But it's meant to be though.
Yeah, it's meant to be. So I get the fact that it's part of it. I think gives it a bit more push because we understand now where it's going.
Yeah.
But yeah, just some of that mid portion stuff where they're talking about. He's talking with the psychologist and. It kind of bored me. It slowed down.
I love the interaction between the psych and the.
Yeah, look, some of it, the discussions were good. Like they would. It was interesting stuff, but it just wasn't like Unbreakable, which was interesting all the way through. Every time they did something.
I actually had a bit more problem with the 3 girls together.
Yeah, when they split them up,
it
got better.
It sped up because it was just Anya Taylor-Joy.
And they started to try and throw in a few more escape efforts, which were a bit more tense, you know, like when they're trying to
earlier escape efforts, you just knew nothing
was going to happen,
It just took all the tension out of it.
Yeah.
So it was just it was 5-minute scenes of let's get moving. So
that's
then
the
when
stuff
we went
that
back to the
with.
psychiatrist, it's like, okay, so here's where we're progressing a little bit.
And I did like the whole her backstory.
Yeah.
That stuff was really, it was complex and it was interesting and that stuff was really good. And I just would have liked a bit more of that. It's almost like McAvoy is, when he's on screen at points, he's really good, but then I just found some of that stuff in the middle a little bit blah. But still solid.
Yep.
3 out of 5.
Shyamalan's directing was back on.
Back on track.
Yeah, he does some really cool stuff. Yeah.
I liked the that when he's having the conversations with the psych, Barry's never facing the camera. It's always like a direct shot of Dr. Fletcher.
Yeah.
But Barry's like sort of until you realise or the true character comes out, the true personality. There's no direct shot in that conversation, which I thought it was kind of cool way to do it.
Yeah, it was. McAvoy's performance is just like
it's really
absolutely
good.
outstanding.
Really good. Because there's times when, in the hands of a lesser actor, it would show up as a Razzie winning performance.
Yeah, because you could overdo it.
You could totally overdo it.
Yeah.
And there was times where he was
Jim
bordering
Carrey
on
in
just
that
heading
role
into
would have been
comical.
ugly.
Yeah. It could have been bordering on comical, but he held it together really well.
Especially with the Hedwig side of things.
Yeah.
So I think
It's that
Patricia, he
good one.
really pulled off. But the Hedwig thing, especially with the speech impediment and the fact that he's
Good
supposed to be a
on.
little kid,
Really pear-shaped.
you can go very wrong with that one. Yeah.
That dancing scene was
Yeah.
such a good way to relieve a bit of the tension, but still maintain the tension.
But he was
It was
also super creepy.
It
doing
was
it.
like, it was totally ridiculous, but then they shot it from like her standing in the doorway, and then he starts doing that shit running towards the camera, and you're like, this is still kind of messed up. Like,
yeah.
and
She's taking a risk
especially-
being in that room.
Especially towards the end, that last shot where Shyamalan's just sort of shifting between mirrors and different shots of him, and he's changing characters within the scene is pretty damn good.
I was also a fan of Dennis. He sounded like Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
Dude, I've got the same comment.
Yeah, because it was a different voice completely.
And the ticks like constantly cleaning
Yeah.
and like the way that they dropped that the psychologist recognised that it was Dennis was fucking awesome because he just subtly grabs a hanky and sort of
Just tips it,
wipes
moves the
something.
chocolates.
Moves the chocolates on the
moves the
stool.
chocolates. Yeah.
And forgets the pictures as
That's
well.
right. Yeah.
And I really did like the opening sequence where they get kidnapped.
Yeah,
Because of the
very
way
good.
it's shot, the inside, outside the car, you know, and then
It was
suddenly
a bit like the train stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he's sitting in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And everyone's kind of going like, well, hang on, mate, what are you doing?
It establishes that those girls are entitled as well.
Yeah.
They're just inviting it because the parents said to do it.
Yeah.
But even the fact that Dennis in that scene, he doesn't even address what would you say the name is, the Anya Taylor-Joy in the front
Casey.
seat, Casey, because his plan was just the two girls in the back.
Yeah.
So he goes through with that plan, and she's just sitting there, and then it's not until she goes for the door handle.
Yeah, he goes
that he
after
goes, okay, no worries, I've got to sort this out too. Like, it just shows that he's so precise about with everything that he does.
And it was just like, I've got to get rid of the chocolate wrappers because this is really bugging me.
Yeah. That's very cool.
They do a pretty good job of keeping it ambiguous for the early part. You're not really sure what's going on. They keep going back and forth to the psychologist's office. We see these different personalities coming
See
out.
the high heels through the crack of the door.
Yeah, like there's a whole thing with Patricia, and you think, shit, there's a woman out there, she's going to help him, and it turns out to be him, and then he's in the psychiatrist's office saying, I'm the best I've been. You know, he's walking around, I've been great.
Yeah.
I'm going really well. And then it keeps cutting back to him with them chained up. So
It's a
kind
really
of
good way to
ambiguous for a
give
lot of
them
it.
time to try and escape.
Yeah.
It created some opportunities because he had to keep rushing back.
And typical Shyamalan, or his better sort of work is to keep you guessing and slowly give you little pieces of it.
Yeah.
And he does the same thing here.
Some of the I guess the mannerisms the little events that were happening as the different characters, just those shifts I really enjoyed. So things like Patricia combing the hair and just being like a little bit violent.
Yeah.
Or like waking up with Hedwig
Yeah.
like spooning you. That would be as scary as fuck.
Yeah.
But just then this stupid little voice coming out of this grown man that's just the biggest threat that you've ever had in your life.
Yeah.
I loved a lot of those things.
Even with Patricia when she cuts the sandwich and she cuts it crooked and just snaps and slams the knife down.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, is this a change of character? And it's not. It's just her
Being
like, going
a
a
bit
bit
crazy.
out the other way. Yeah.
And the fact that they've identified that there's characters that like sort of in these multiple personas, which probably isn't how it really works, but there's characters that like band together and
like the Horde.
Yeah. So
And
but
I also-
even within the Horde, there's
Yeah.
like.
But
there's,
I
like,
also
power
love the
play
fact
going
too
on.
that she kind of recognised that if I try and trick him, Hedwig, that the others are actually after you, mate.
Yeah.
And he starts going, oh, no, they're not. You know, he starts getting. So she starts to get that realisation she might be able to talk her way out, depending upon the personality that's being presented.
But then they cut that out because when Barry comes, not Barry, sorry, when Dennis comes back, he's like, you shouldn't trick little children. Like he gets a
that's a bridge too far, isn't it, Dennis?
yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing.
You,
Yeah.
you definitely shouldn't kidnap her, mate. But we don't want to trick little kids.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the morals are definitely skewed there, and I thought that helped establish the character as not understanding how the violence is the wrong thing to be doing.
Yeah. With one of their first interactions, once the girls are in that bunker, And I thought Casey was actually being a bit of a dick. Like, the other girls are saying, we need to stick together and whatever. She's sort of trying to push him away.
Yeah.
But then when she tells the girl, when he grabs her to wear pants, and she's obviously, this has come from her experiences with other things, with her uncle probably. That showed that she had a lot more of, like, the street smarts and, like, she was a bit more world wise than the other girls were.
She was a lot more patient and less entitled, which...
Yeah, and she obviously was looking for a way, like, actual smart ways to do it instead of just trying to bash through walls or climb out through the roof sort of thing. So that was the first thing. Because otherwise...
play along.
They kept saying there's a second lock on the other door. That's not going to help.
But it just seemed like she was being a bit of a dick beforehand. Like, she was just... Like, she's obviously some kind of an outcast, like a social outcast, but... In that scene, she actually shows that she's probably got more value than the other ones do.
Yeah. And she, as I said, she realises I play along and I might get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to escape is not going to help. And, as you say, there was a second lock anyway. So when we got out that door...
And plus, you probably don't assume that, that what actually happens at the end is going to happen. Like, you wouldn't think that someone would go to that extreme either. They might just be, a little bit unhinged, but you wouldn't assume that they're going to try and eat people or any of that sort of shit. So, yeah.
Just a little kind of aside, I kind of really like the scene where the psychologist goes and sits with the woman in the other apartment.
Yes!
And it's like,
I loved it.
She's talking about those people that you work with and kind of looking down her nose at the crazy people.
Yeah.
But then it shows we're all fucking a little bit crazy when the TV shopping comes on. She goes, I need to buy one of those. And kind of buys that fucking little scrubbing thing.
It's a Bowflex.
You can't use your thumbs to spin the wheel, dumbass.
They're right, you can't.
She's the normal
Yeah,
one.
I thought that was really good. It was just kind of like it really didn't add a whole lot to the story, but it was just this quick sort of...
It wasn't
side
necessary,
to say,
but it was perfect.
Yeah, it's just this quick aside to say we're all got our little quirks and, Yeah.
It's pretty extreme, though.
She was a nutbag.
So I tried to do a little bit of, because you were saying, I don't know if like the segregation of all the personalities and stuff, like I tried to give it a bit of a Googling, because also the physical stuff, like where they're saying like, one might be blind, the other one's not blind.
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything really concrete on it. I'm not sure how much of that's... Yeah, well, I'd assume so, but I just thought, maybe that's one of those things where, someone that's sighted would create an alternate personality that is not sighted or something like that. Like, maybe that's a thing that...
Anybody who's in that situation is not going to be hyper functional. There's no way that's possible. Anyone who's in that situation is doing that as a coping mechanism.
Yeah, but that's maybe they might have seen something and they like, this personality can't see it. I just thought maybe it would be interesting if that was something, because the way they sort of explain it, it's one of those things they're trying to say is based in reality.
Yeah.
And sometimes they are, but I don't...
It's a hard sell, but it makes for an entertaining story.
The
fact that they can transcend and then become more powerful is...
Yeah, I mean, theoretically,
I love though that, and then just all of a sudden, when the beast is established, it's just like crawling along the walls. You're just like, it's such a good transition into, I guess it is a superhero movie, or
It's it sort of changes tone very quickly there, and that's one of the things I sort of had a problem with, was how far they went down that road. But I just thought I'd look into it, because it seemed the subject matter itself is really interesting, like what your mind can and can't actually achieve.
Yeah.
So I like that part of it.
I actually kind of really like too that it plays out that, both of them are survivors, really. Casey and Kevin and Casey are both kind of survivors, but they're sort of coping
different
strategies with different, his personality was fractured and hers was just kind of to isolate herself a little bit from the peers and things like that. But it was, I kind of like the way that, when it culminated in that whole scene of him sort of realising that she's not what he thought she was, and because it kind of explicitly states earlier on that he watched the two girls, but then he kind of gravitates towards her, but then she's the one that's kind of like, you're not, the whole scene at the end when he's saying you're not, what does he say? He's saying like you're one of us or something.
Yeah, you're one of us. Yeah,
I sort of really like that. Add a little bit of little layers to it. Yeah, I thought that was quite good.
I actually thought, I said before, the flashbacks of her upbringing.
Yeah.
They start off really, really well. Like, you feel this, dad loves her, and they go out hunting together, and there's this bond there. And
making jokes, they're ripping on the uncle.
Gets darker and darker and darker.
But straight up, as soon as I saw that, just because of the casting, because I know that guy from Orange is the New Black, and his role in that's pretty dark as well. As soon as I saw that guy, I'm like, this guy's going to be bad news. And I didn't obviously think he was going to be what he was, but it's perfect casting.
I thought
he just plays a
straight
real
away.
creep.
I was like,
he was creepy.
Bad news.
And it was cringe-inducing, that. Even though it's not explicit in any way and there's nothing...
Oh, it doesn't leave any grey areas.
You just immediately know this is...
Especially when her dad passes away and he's like, I'm not going to have any trouble with you, am I? And but like for a little girl to pull a gun on a guy, something very rough's going on.
Yeah.
And that stuff's hard to watch, obviously, but it's effective though, because it also means you know what sort of life she's led up until that point and why she's got all these coping mechanisms and why she's so like self-sufficient and able to defend herself. Like she's probably had to do a lot of that shit.
Yeah, and why she's kind of she's playing the longer game with what's going on because she's been through some pretty terrible shit. That she's not as rattled as the other girls at first.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like that first
she's
scene,
dealt with this some nasty things already in her life. So
well,
I
can't wait to see the interaction between him and the other
I think
characters.
David Dunn might have a run in with him.
Yeah, but surely he fits into that same character. He's like the complete, like emotionally he's that tortured person, but physically he's never been touched. So
I wonder if
like perfect antithesis.
Considering it's the same universe, is there any chance that the uncle is the kid from the party, where he finds the girl passed out?
Oh.
That'd be a deep cut, wouldn't it?
Maybe it'd be pretty deep.
Yeah, I don't know. You never know how they're going to cross over.
I don't know. Maybe I don't think the age range.
I didn't realise that Anya Taylor-Joy was in Glass until the second trailer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I had no idea.
Because I'm getting the sense from Glass that it's going to be kind of action.
There's
more action related.
There's a sense of action.
There's a sense he's going to take. He's got these two films with certain elements.
It's all been leading up to
now this one's the one where the villain and the hero
clash,
face off, and this is where we're going to
Well, there'll be the two villains.
Well, it seems like Glass is going to be using the Beast as a bit of a tool to
he's been the puppet masters.
To do the physical sort of side of things.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm interested to see how it all works out.
Yeah. As I said before, some of the stuff later on, once the girls are split up and there's escape attempts happening, which have a bit more... it's frantic, they're trying to lift the lock open using the coat hanger and all that. That stuff's really good. It actually builds things up. And, there's that sense of we're almost out. We could possibly escape.
And they never really were either.
No, they weren't going anywhere.
But prior to that, you just knew they weren't. Whereas when he left and they're doing the door thing, there was a chance.
Yeah.
And you were kind of, come on, let's get moving. Whereas before that...
When they went through the ceiling and stuff like that.
You go on the ceiling, you got the two doors, you just kind of like, none of this is going to work. And it's sort of... It just felt like we were taking up minutes of not really going anywhere.
Killing some time almost.
Yeah.
I guess for me, watching it the second time, I was like, there's a lot of things with that time where he's out of the house is, I guess that they're trying to give you they give you like the email comes through and they've got the news story going at the same time.
Yeah.
And there's like little bits.
There's a few lines on the fire at that point.
You'd think that she'd be a bit cluey that he's coming. It seems like he's coming like every couple of hours or something.
But at one point, it looks like she gets the email and then she looks at the news and it looks like she twigs.
Yeah,
and then he comes and visits and she's just totally normal with him again. And I thought, is she playing to try and ease something out of him, try and get some information?
She's just so trusting that she's got everything under control.
Yeah, I think she overestimates her control of the situation for sure.
Yeah.
Because she seems like she's obviously a very smart lady. Like she has a read on some things, but I just don't think she knew how far down the rabbit hole he'd gone.
Yeah, and they give you little Easter eggs like that throughout the whole thing. They're like talking about the lions or the tigers. What is it? Having that conversation about
the zoo animal thing.
The zoo animals, Then you realise they're in the zoo.
Yeah.
So there's like little things like that, connecting dots throughout the whole thing. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to say it's not as slow as you guys found.
I also like the way during all those escape attempts we start to see the beast come out, and it's pretty striking when he first appears. When he's got all those rippling sort of.
They won't show his face for ages, will they?
And then he picks her up and.
The way that he does in The Psychologist is just
nasty,
pretty nasty.
Yeah.
When I first watched it, I was like, there was that moment of holy shit, this is really messed up. I wasn't expecting it at all to go in this direction.
Yeah.
And then there was this feeling of I'm not sure how I feel that he's actually kind of a supernatural thing.
I had a problem with that, yeah.
So it's kind of, I don't know, it's a roller coaster. It's sort of up and down because when I was watching that, I was like, oh, I don't know about that. And then obviously...
He's meant to be a super villain, though.
But this is the thing, you didn't know that. So when you're watching it, like,
for the first time,
you're watching a little
lens,
thriller, and then so you watch that and you're like, the visuals are really cool, but then I'm kind of like, what am I watching again? And I was a little bit disappointed. Then the stinger at the end, which is an absolute belter, just recontextualizes it. Like it's not a twist. It was not really a twist. It's just this whole thing to say, right, story's wrapped up.
It changed the whole
little
context.
coda on the end to say it's in this universe.
Yeah.
So then you kind of like, oh, and you know, as I said, I came out of Split thinking, yeah, wow, that was really cool. But then when I watched it again, even with the knowledge, I was still a little bit. Yeah, the Beast looks kind of cool, but I'm still...
It feels like it just goes too far.
Yeah.
So I think when I watched it, I was watching it going, I know that he's going to have split personalities, but maybe Casey, these two girls are part of her personality and they're going to disappear and you're going to realise that it's... So there's a whole bunch of stuff that I was going in different directions.
I feel like
and cancelling things out as I was watching.
I feel like his character was really interesting when he's going through the personalities, but then when the Beast kind of comes out, it just turns him into a strong guy.
Yeah. But he says that they've all gone to sleep. He's like, he's turned those other personalities off.
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't make it interesting to watch the strong guy run around after you've had this guy sort of changing his personalities.
Yeah.
Because
I don't hate it, but it's kind of like the Beast comes out and you're like, okay, we accept we're on this planet, yeah, it's in this universe that it can be supernatural and he's got this superpower, but then when he is the Beast... It takes away the interesting. It takes away Dennis. Takes away Patricia.
Yeah.
And Hedwig.
I don't know. The way it was handled was pretty good for the most part. It was just kind of my feelings when I was looking back on it after the stinger and trying to put it in that context.
But they've opened it up to also have that potential for him to go, what day is this? What's happened? How did this happen? Like, how come the therapist
comes out of it and he is Kevin?
But they've sort of rubbed that out.
Yeah,
because the end of it basically says it's not working anymore. So it's either the Beast, and then when the Beast kind of takes...
Surely, I bet you they'll go back to it, though. I bet you they'll go back to it, because that's the best part of the character, right?
Where else are they going to go, really?
Yeah.
It's Dennis, Hedwig, and Patricia.
Yeah.
So he comes out of the Beast, and he's with the Horde again.
Yeah.
The other guys are kept on the fringes.
And they specifically said that Kevin was gone. Like, they've sent him on a long holiday.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, I'm kind of with you though, Jared. I just thought that it went too far down climbing up the walls and shit.
Well, are we in dislike territory here?
No, I was just sort of, I don't know, that was one I was kind of confused. I was saying, it was a roller coaster. I liked the visuals of the Beast and then I loved the stinger, but it just felt like a little dip in the middle of that.
They had to show the climbing the wall and because even just and then he like jumps off the wall and he's
just
what looking I'm back, is like the characterization.
When you watch that without the sting,
the context,
the actual experience of watching it is kind of like, I'm a little bit disappointed that that's actually where it ended up.
Yeah,
that wasn't what I was expecting.
The sting then comes
the sting
into context.
puts it in and says we're in a universe where there's other people like that, and I'm kind of like, that makes it a bit better. But then when I watched it again, it wasn't really better.
Yeah,
it was just sort of, there was still a bit of a lull in the movie for me.
Well, it takes away the best parts of McAvoy's performance too, which is all the separate. That sequence where he changes all in about 3 minutes it's top notch, where he's just changing instantly from character to character. But then those guys drop away and the Beast comes out. I guess
I found him far more interesting when he was, having those conversations about what was going on. Yeah. Then when he kind of turned into Wolverine, it was a little bit,
fair enough.
A little bit less interesting.
So you went to Wolverine. I went to the from Underworld. When they merge, I'll make the Lycan and the vampires, and he's like that half hybrid. That's not a good thing.
No.
That's not a good thing.
Yeah, I can see it working. Because they'll go for a little bit more of that. Like, obviously, you've seen in the trailer, when he's in there with Glass and David Dunn in the institute, wherever they are.
I think it's the Younger Institute of
Younger Institute might be dysphotonic. There's a little bit of studying going on, but it seemed like Patricia was talking.
Yes.
So there's going to be a little bit of that,
and they did show a couple of quick shots of
I want to meet the Beast. So it seems like there's going to be a lot more of that interaction. And when he is the Beast, you've still got Glass and Dunn to carry some of that other stuff. So
No. If it was a massive problem, I wouldn't be keen for Glass, and I'm super keen.
No, I'm still very keen for it, and I still think it was pretty minor. It was only a small portion of the movie that I was a little bit sort of.
Well, that's the funny thing too,
interesting.
because I don't have a lot of dislikes. It's just that I'd watched Unbreakable beforehand, and I watched this. I was on a high. This is 15 minutes longer, and yet feels a lot slower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's its biggest
It could have done
problem.
with being a little bit shorter, for sure.
Whereas I remember, as I was putting them both on, I thought Unbreakable is pretty slow.
Yeah, and Split was the one that...
When you think about what happens, Unbreakable should be the one that feels slower, for sure. And it doesn't.
But yet it doesn't. So I think maybe Shyamalan's storytelling in this one wasn't as succinct and wasn't as tight. It's much more difficult because he had all these split personalities to work with, and it was probably a little bit more difficult to get it all.
The setting was also in one place for most of the movie as well.
Yeah.
It made it a bit more. Surely that's contributed to how tedious it is because they're stuck in a room.
It doesn't.
House, $9 million.
Yeah, they've done
You've
well.
got to take out some scenes. It's got to happen in there.
Yeah.
We'd love to do some things a bit further.
You've got a house, you've got a weekend.
But a lot of that actually helps it. Like the fact that every time the girl's out, they're just running down these service tunnels with pipes and stuff, and they've just got no way out.
There's just nowhere to go.
There's just no. It's not like you got any. There's no windows. There's no doors. Like even when she mentions and Hedwig's like, oh, I've got my CD player next to my window. And she's
that
like,
was actually
shit.
a big like. When she
That was good. And she goes in there and there's just this drawing of a window, and he goes, see, it's open and it's closed, and you can see her face just drop.
Yeah,
She's like, fuck, I'm screwed here.
And she gets desperate. Let me out.
Yeah.
Appeals to the better nature of the kid.
Yeah, it was probably a mistake.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Any other big likes, people?
No, that's my likes definitely done.
Same for me. That's it.
Dislikes.
I kind of went into it the little lull there after the reveals. That was one of my dislikes. For sure.
Well, I had that the supernatural portion of the ending. It just feels like they go like compared to what David Dunn's powers are. I mean, obviously he's got his prescience and stuff like that. This just felt like, and as you said, until you know what the stinger is, it feels like a real change in the whole movie. Is not the same movie you've been watching.
Too far. The change is a great change. Big
You've been
change.
watching like a
and there's a reason for it.
thriller.
There is a reason for it, and I understand that reason. But without that knowledge, when you first saw it, all you could be thinking is, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah. And the other thing too is in contrast to Dunn, where it's very slowly and it's not really a superpower. It's just this guy's stronger, and you see him wrestling the other guy but taking a bit of punishment. Compared to McAvoy, who just starts rippling with muscle and veins and then starts climbing the walls. Like, it's very...
Yeah, it felt somewhat kind of rushed. Almost.
A little bit, yeah. It just
which is weird considering there was a lot more to get through in the middle.
Yeah, a little bit. But it wasn't a huge dislike. It didn't sort of destroy it for me. I just found it more interesting. Prior, I did kind of mention this one before too. It's just a little bit uneven when all the girls are in there. It's just going up and down.
I didn't like that. I thought
going up and down.
The blonde girl was like so naive and aggressive with how we need to deal with it.
And as you said, she was supposed to be like she there was a part where like she was entitled and she's talking about I did 6 months of karate or whatever.
Yeah.
And Casey's just like you're 6 months of karate at the fucking mall.
Yeah, we just watched this guy carry us in here, no problem. So
so I think there's an element of her kind of supposed to be like that, but it was just like
I felt the other girl was wasted. She was
she was a dead character. She didn't get to do much.
Exactly, and it was just kind of pointless. Like the escape attempts just felt pointless at times. There was no drama to it like there was in
like
ones down the line. It was just kind of like let's get this. They're not going anywhere, so let's get McAvoy back in. That's all you felt like.
You really only needed the one. If you had just Anya Taylor-Joy, she could have done the same things that the other girls did.
Well, there's where you cull some of that fat.
Yeah,
you cull some of the fat with that.
Well, the unnecessary escape that they go out through the ceiling and they go down the vent and stuff, and she's running away. That same thing happens with Anya later on. Like, it's just unnecessary.
But I got a little bit of what you were saying that she was kind of forced to be with these girls, because she was invited to the party because everyone else was. It made a bit of sense.
There was some purpose to some of it,
but I just felt there's some fat trimming. You ditch those two characters and you've probably lost 10 minutes.
Easy.
Did you need both of them?
Yeah, just one of them.
You could have just done one of them. Yeah.
Well, even just the blonde girl.
Yeah.
Because you could have still had the entitled side of it as well, and all
We
that.
wouldn't have had her being eaten though.
That was
Again, that was what but again, that comes back to what you said. It just kind of came out of nowhere.
That's why I liked it.
She walks in here, he's munching on.
He's gone into
I'm just
beast mode.
Yeah.
Where are we? What are we doing?
The blonde girl reminded me of Hayden Panettiere as well. Like from when she was younger, when she was in Heroes and stuff like that.
Yeah, she
had
was
a
the
lot
girl
of that
from
vibe.
Age of 17, wasn't she?
I believe so.
I haven't seen it before.
Pretty good movie, that one.
Yeah, that's good.
Woody Harrelson, you loved him. Then.
Loved him.
Again, pretty minor, but Casey seems to take a fucking hell of a long time to watch those journals. Those video journals.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was sitting there, like, we cut away from it.
You rushed
And
through
then
those
It
things.
seems like bloody 20 minutes later. Obviously, it wasn't that long, but it seems like she's been watching them for ages.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that she gets the key, where the keys are from that.
Yeah, with the beanie.
But man, oh man, where's the urgency?
Yeah.
There was a bit of urgency before. Like you don't.
You wouldn't
even
have
if
the
you
patience
even if
with
you're
it.
a little bit more patient, like she has shown throughout, you're not propping
Not
up
that
in front of the computer for 15 minutes.
You're at least a little bit worried that he's going to return and catch
Exactly.
you on his machine, you know?
Yeah, it seemed like she was on there. Screen time, it was at least like 5 minutes, but movie time, it felt
It
like
felt like it was
longer
ages.
because he
Yeah,
was doing
yeah.
the train station.
Like Maddie said, if she'd have done at some point where she like measured the
She knew,
he's out of here.
He's going to
for
be out of
45
here
minutes
for-
every time.
Yeah, an hour and 10 minutes or
Yeah.
something. This is how long I have to make an escape.
to
exactly.
watch his video journal.
Because if you get out there, you're trying to get out through the fucking door more than she did. But you don't just go, oh, you know what, I'm just going to go watch these really interesting. Like,
I felt like they
videos.
Even if I got
They
45
tried to
minutes,
establish
that's
that-
buffer. That's buffer, just in
going
case I
carry
make some
on.
mistakes.
They
Yeah.
tried to establish that a bit because I guess when the character comes back in with the bucket and the cleaning stuff, you're like, oh, they're going to be here for a while, but maybe not knowing how long they're going to leave the building for.
Yeah.
But they never established that she knew he was going to be gone for a long time.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
was like one of the few times that it seemed like they were aware that he was gone. Even, and
But Hedwig said it. I've got to go to the meeting now.
I know, but like
still don't
establishing
know.
that is a totally different thing. Like
Yeah.
it seems like when you watch that movie, it seems like because you're showing a shot of him at the train station, you're showing a shot of whatever else is going on. It seems like she's there for. I'm sitting there going, that's got to be like half an hour.
Yeah, easy.
I don't know how far the train station is, but you're chopping time of him walking, of him going through the gate, of him train station, with him flowers. Like that's a long time. I don't care who you are and how well planned you are. If you're escaping, you're not stopping to watch the computer for that long.
Yeah, fair enough.
You're
Like,
out
it's
of it.
sort of like if I can't find the keys,
Well, you're
I'm
trying
gonna
to
come up with another
get,
plan
you're
and
trying
I'm
to
gonna
get to
do it
the
quick.
nearest
some
door
weapons.
and work out what's next.
Yeah.
You know,
And it
as quick
didn't
as
seem
possible.
like I don't know. Was she actually looking to try and find the keys? Is that what she was doing?
I think she was looking to find any
She was looking
information
to find
you can
any
use.
information. Yeah.
Mm.
So if you sit there for half an hour and then go, "Ooh, time's up. I better get back into my room." That feels a bit. Yeah, I don't know.
I thought the closed circuit on the walkie-talkies was poorly done as well because the guy on the other line's just like, is this a joke? Like,
Yeah.
I thought that was like,
Yeah,
You would take
I thought
that
she was going to
seriously.
try and get out of the room with it for
Yeah.
a bit or something, and
Yeah.
it was going to be a bit of a chase or something. But
surely you'd know that the multiple personalities guy works at the zoo as well.
yeah, I'd be sitting there going, "Look up my fucking name.
Yeah.
At least Google my name."
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like she says her name a bunch of times, and then he goes, "Who's this?" And it's like,
Yeah, you
mate,
keep
I,
saying, "Man, it's just you joking, blah blah blah,"
Yeah.
just carrying on. Like, it's just
Someone's
Say
screaming
something
at you on the other
that was
line.
frustrating. That bit.
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
I was waiting for someone. Does anyone know Rusty Nail? Like, come on. Anytime I see a two-way in a movie,
Yeah.
sort of go to straight away.
Nail. Other dislikes?
That was pretty much it for me.
Yeah.
There wasn't
I,
specific things in the movie that I
Yeah, I
hated. It was
didn't
just a
hate
little
the
bit
film.
of
I
the
just
lulls
felt that there was lulls that hurt it.
The only thing I had, and it was obviously very important for a character, but the uncle thing, it's
That
just
was-
dark.
yeah, that was
I just-
uncomfortable.
That stuff's just rough, man.
It's
Like,
always-
especially that girl,
it's
she's really little.
Yeah.
When he's rolling around in the leaves, he's like, "Where are animals? Animals don't have clothes." It's like, oh.
It wasn't pleasant, and it wasn't.
I understand, like, I get that you needed it and stuff, but anytime that happens.
Yeah. After that, I was like, she's way too well adjusted to be that person, you know.
difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just difficult to even just see a depiction of that shit.
Yeah,
that sort
yeah.
of shit on screen.
It's very uncomfortable.
as you said, it's kind of it is quite important to her backstory.
Yeah.
But it's just seedy.
And again, I'm just interested to see how these two films get rolled together to make.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I was
I'm
excited
pumped
to
for
see
it.
where it's going to
Yeah,
go.
it's really interesting to see where they're going to go. It's good to see that Shyamalan's found a little bit of footing recently, so we're not back in the midst of Glass isn't coming out in the midst of, between Last Airbender and Happening, perhaps. Like he's found a little bit of touch again, so it'll be interesting to see where.
I can't believe you said. Oh,
this guy's got a decent resume. And then I'm just sitting there going, The Village, remember that? Oh shit, Happening.
The Village was not the worst one.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. Everyone talks about The Village being.
Village is middle of the road.
Yeah,
no. So honestly, After Earth is his worst movie, and I've seen The Happening, and that's saying something.
No, surely The Last Airbender is his worst movie.
I haven't seen that. But
I haven't seen it either.
Mate, if it's worse than fucking After Earth, honestly, I'll be amazed. It is. It's so bad. It is just Will Smith and his son just pandering to each other on screen constantly.
Jesus.
It's horrendous. But I didn't have any other specific dislikes for this one.
Nope. No.
I liked it.
All right. That was Split. If you want to get in contact with us, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify and Podomatic. Send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. We're on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia and at Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com, as well as Instagram at thrillmepodcastau. Keep an eye on our Facebook page for details of the next film, which I believe will go for a Christmas flick. Is that correct?
I'm pretty sure we know what we're watching.
Yeah.
Oh,
I believe it might be better.
I don't like the sounds of this.
I'm not going to spoil it.
No.
But until then, take it easy and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers.
Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.